Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all safe and sound and at home, because that is the general message right now. Everyone should just stay at home. I've been stuck inside for 2 weeks already and going slightly crazy, I'll be honest. I am trying to make the most of it, so I can't work from home. I'm a dentist. Working from home doesn't quite work for us. I'm able to do a lot of kind of emergency stuff on the phone, but nothing like in person, which means that I have a lot of free time right now. I'm trying to make the most of it. I've done quite a bit of sewing, as you can imagine. I've managed to read a book. I'm getting like a real good start on my knitting, and who knows, I might actually finish the jumper I've been working on before quarantine is over. I mean, you've got to look at the silver linings in all of this, right? It'll be good for me to be able to get that done. Knitting is one of those things that just takes me so long to do that I think if I push myself to do it now, at least I can be at the end of all of this, I can be like, this may have all been like something terrible, we've all been stuck inside, you know, but at least I've managed to do something which I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, which, you know, you got to enjoy the little things, right? So what I've come on here today to do is just show you what I've been making it in March. So as you can imagine, I've made quite a bit this month. Just even before the quarantine and stuff, I was already sewing quite a lot this month. And the last week or so, I've just last week of March or so, I've just, you know, gone a bit crazy in terms of what I've been doing. So what happens when all you have to do is stay inside and sew, right? I've got plenty of fabric to be getting through, so there's no reason for me not to, right? And so I'll start with what I'm wearing now. So what I'm wearing right now is this dress that I've made just recently. This is a hack of the Vicki dress from Vikisews. So Vikisews is a Russian pattern designer that I was introduced to from Bianca of Sleepless in Bavaria. She's been raving about these Vikisews patterns for quite a while, and I finally kind of bit the bullet and went for it. So the patterns are lovely, like their designs are great. I like how they do their sizing, so you only buy one size when you buy it, but they are cheap. So you essentially pick your size widthways, and they've got lots of different height categories as well, so you can pick your size according to your height and width essentially. So the downside to these patterns is that everything's in Russian. There's no English translations at all. You can try putting the websites and the documents through Google Translate, but it only does so much. The photographs are quite good, to be fair, and the diagrams and things. So for most people, if you're not like a complete beginner, you'd probably be able to kind of muddle your way through quite easily. And I've actually made 2 versions of this dress already. So the first one is this purple one that I made. And I will put this on properly in a bit and show it to you as well. And I loved it so much that straight away I went on to another version. So the original one I did without any changes to the pattern itself, bar making the sleeve a little bit wider just to fit my chunky upper arms. But this second version that I've done, which is what I'm wearing now, I've put 2 lines of ruffles in. So this is the original seam where the ruffle is, and I've added a second one further towards the front, so it's got these 2 ridged areas here. I've taken out the ruffle in the sleeve because there was one going across this way, and I've widened the sleeve and shortened it so it's got this kind of bigger poof gather thing going on as well. And I've taken out the ruffle in the back. So the original ruffle, which is this part here, would have gone through the princess seam on the front and the back, going all the way around, and you'll be able to see that in the purple version, which I will try on for you in a bit. So there's quite simple changes, but I feel like it's quite an effective change as well, just in terms of where your eye's drawn to, especially on the front here, by taking it in slightly, because I felt that the ruffles are slightly too wide. It's not like the princess seam doesn't go directly over the apex of the bust, which is where you'd normally get it, and I felt like it made me look wider because of it, because you're not naturally used to seeing patterns like that. I'm being overly fussy about things, but I actually thought that the second line just made it a bit interesting as well and improved that shape just in terms of something being a bit more slimming on the front. So I'm going to stand up and show you what that looks like in full. So this is the dress. It's reasonably short, not what I can say really mini. I have added on an extra row of a frill at the very edge, so a very narrow one, the same width as the ruffles on here, just to keep it, you know, a little bit more interesting on there. And I'll show you what it looks like on the back as well. I added in pockets, so it doesn't come with pockets. I added those in just because I love everything with pockets, and especially with a loose fit dress like this, I think it works quite well. The fabric is this beautiful viscose crepe that I got from So Me Sunshine. Harriet gifted that to me just because she's lovely, and I would strongly recommend, you know, go to her website, buy a lot of stuff. She's still actually sending stuff out even through the quarantine period. She's taken stuff back to her home studio, so you are still able to order from her if you are looking for that. But yeah, it's just this lovely fabric, so drapey, really beautiful drape to it. And it's got this black background with the white polka dot. It's got a slight texture to it, which I really like. Because of the texture, it doesn't crease particularly easily, which is going to be like the easiest dress for me ever to wear. I'm going to try the purple one on now so you can see the differences between this one, which is the hat version, and what the original one looks like too. So this is the first version of the same dress. So as I said, it's called the Vicki dress from Vikisews. Don't just type in Vicki dress because it won't come up. Everything's in the Russian alphabet. That is just what the English translation of it is. And this is what it looks like. So this I've made in a woven viscose that I got from Sacré Coupon, which is a fabric store in Paris. I was there at the end of February and managed to pick this up. As you can see, it's got this frill across the upper arm here, the single frill down the front and back, so that's all joined in one piece. It's got this little keyhole neckline on the back, which I think is really cute. Again, I put pockets in here as well. The length, everything I've kept exactly as the original because I bought the petite version essentially, which meant that I didn't have to make any changes to it, and I loved that about this. I just think it's really cute. It's such a sweet pattern if that's what you're looking for. I do feel like I look very young in it. That's not necessarily a bad thing though, I think. I'm just living out my toddler, like 5-year-old princess dreams at the moment with the kind of dresses that I'm making. But I absolutely love it. I really love the colour. I love lilac at the moment, who doesn't, right? This pattern is a free pattern, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. So absolutely worth trying out if you're not sure whether you are going to be able to cope with the pattern instructions or not. I actually found the difficult part for me working with the Russian was the pattern piece labelling. So it's not going to say, you know, front, back or whatever. For the most part you can figure it out, but when it came to the front and back skirts, I got them the other way around, and it actually took me quite a while to figure out what was wrong. But yeah, it's once you get into it and get in the flow of it, it's fine, but it is a little bit of an odd thing to start using. But I can definitely recommend it, especially for a free one. It's like one of the best free patterns I've ever gotten. So yeah, I'll move on to the next item now. So this t-shirt is one that I actually made a little while ago, but I never got around to blogging about it and taking photos and things, so I thought I'll show you guys now. So this is a cross between the Nora top from Tilly and the Buttons and her Coco top as well. So the body of the t-shirt is the Nora top, and I've just put the Coco neckline on here, so it's got this lovely boat neck on here. The fabric is a PK knit from the Textile Centre, I believe, and so it's got this kind of cream background and a black stripe across it. It's just a really cute little crop t-shirt. I've kept the step hem, but I have made it so that it's not as deep a step between the front and the back. And what's really special about this t-shirt is the little lobster embroidered onto the front here. So I was gifted an embroidery kit from a French company called Brittany Pompidou. I will link to them at the bottom if you want to have a look at them yourself. But anyway, these kits come with these sticky interfacing with the designs printed on them. So you like literally this kind of little sheet of interfacing, and you just stick it on, cut it out, stick it on where you want the design to be, and it supplies the needle and embroidery thread and little embroidery hoops so that you can then embroider it how you wish to, and then that interfacing washes away afterwards. You literally just finish what you're doing, stick it in the wash, and that is how it comes out. So I've given myself a little lobster on the front there, which I think is adorable. It's a really kind of summery vibe to it, which I love. It's got this kind of, in terms of the size and shape, it's very, you know, very much like those kind of branded t-shirts and things like that, which have those logos on the left side, which I really like. It's just a bit fun, and I think the colour really pops against this background. I'll show you what the t-shirt looks like from the front and the back. So it's just a really simple crop t-shirt, really quick, really easy to make. It takes up absolutely no fabric doing these. So I've still got a ton of this stuff left behind, so I need to figure out what to do with it. The neckline and the hem I've finished with my cover stitch machine, so that's just allowing the jersey to just sit really flat there without me needing to put a band, like a neck band or anything on there as well, which is great. I'll move on to the next thing now as well. So this is another Olya shirt from Paper Theory. I made one a couple of months ago. Yeah, made it in January, I think, when I made it out of a light pink Atelier Brunette viscose. I really liked the pattern, I really liked how the pieces come together. It's a really satisfying sew, and I found that the pink one that I made was just a really great thing to have in your wardrobe as something to throw on, like for layering. It's surprisingly casual, as shirts go, and I thought it was just quite a nice thing to have, and I really wanted to have a white or off-white version. So when I found this is a white cotton dobby from Like So Amazing, I thought that this would be a really great way of having that kind of almost classic white shirt but with a bit of a twist to it. So the upside with this version of it is that I actually managed to put the pockets in. I still didn't do it right. So my first version, I put pockets in, I did it wrong, had to cut them out again and just ignored just did it without the pockets because I didn't have enough fabric. This one I managed to do it wrong still, but I did manage to salvage it. I don't know why I find it so difficult. My brain just like doesn't function properly. Basically I did one side right and the other side wrong, so I had to take apart one side and redo it. This has nothing to do with the instructions, I just clearly can't follow them properly. The thing with these patterns that they don't, they're not, ones that you're used to, it's not using standard methods of construction, which is great because you're doing something new and exciting, but it also means that you can't fall back on kind of old techniques that you're used to, so that is where the difficulties I think for me lay. But again, I really love it, just as much as I did the last one. Again, my favourite thing, especially making them, is doing this back seam here. So when you close the shoulder seam, so this bit that goes around the top, and then it comes to this kind of squarey point up here, and you get this really nice kind of right angle, where is it? Over here, this nice like right angle join here, which I always find really exciting. So yeah, I really wanted something that was kind of really soft, a bit drapey, really casual. I really think that this hit the mark with everything that I wanted from this shirt. I actually had this cut out and ready to sew like beginning of February, and I just kind of never got round to sewing it. So this is one of the first things I finished when the lockdown period started. So again, right side of the lockdown, I've managed to push myself into finishing this, which I otherwise wouldn't have done. But yeah, I'll show you, I'll do a quick twirl and you can have a look at it from the back as well. So it's got quite a nice like curved hem that dips down towards the back as well. It is a loose fit shirt. It's meant to be a loose fit shirt like this. And I love it. I really like the buttons that I've used as well. So I've got these little kind of tortoise shell buttons on here, and they've got a bit of a ridge to them, so they're a bit interesting on here too. So these are buttons that I got from an online shop called Ribbon Moon. I have a tendency to buy in bulk from them. So they do a lot of buttons that will often be on sale. So you can buy like 100 buttons of the same type for a few pounds, and I will buy lots of different types of neutral buttons, so black, white, beige, and in different sizes, and just so that I've got them there ready to go whenever I need to have buttons. I'm not someone who ever looks for kind of like a perfect match for the buttons, so this method works for me in terms of always having that stock to fall back on. Not for everybody, I know, but I like doing it like that. So I'll move on to my next make. So the next thing I'm showing you is this skirt. This is the Hettie skirt from the most recent issue of Fibre Mood magazine. It's a really quite simple skirt in terms of the shape and style. So it's got almost quite a fitted top part up here, kind of how you would have a pencil skirt, or waistband at the top, and then it's got a couple of tiers below. Hopefully you can see that. I've made this a bit shorter than the original. I think the original was actually meant to be floor length on a tall person, and I've made mine midi length on a short person. As you can imagine, that is taking on quite a bit of length on this. I think I took off like 20 centimeters off the pattern or something crazy. But I wanted to have something that I would actually wear, and I know that actually kind of above ankle is where my sweet spot is when it comes to long skirts. And the fabric is this rose satin that I got from Stoff Stil. I was actually gifted this piece. I was allowed to pick what I wanted, but I gifted a piece of fabric from them, and I really love this kind of large scale print on here. It's just a really fun, simple skirt. It's really not something that I would normally have picked, I guess. It's not like, I can imagine myself like only going for that kind of like really typical gathered at the waist kind of skirt, but I really wanted to do something a bit different with this, and having it a bit fitted at the top I think does that. I like how it moves. I'll have to pull for you. So it's still got quite a bit of movement to it. I just thought it would look quite cool with like a t-shirt and a leather jacket. If you can imagine that, I think that's quite a nice spring look. I just wanted something that's a little bit different to what I would normally wear. I still think it's very much within kind of my wardrobe style, but just pushing the boundaries a little bit, which is always nice to do every now and then. So this dress here is one of my favourite recent makes. This is a hack of the Deer and Doe Myosotis dress, which I've made a couple of times before. I've always hacked them. I've never made the original like exact, but it's just a really easy pattern to adapt to what I want, and I really wanted a dress that looked like this. So the changes I made from the original, firstly with the top, the bodice, and the general shape is the same. I've just lowered the neckline slightly and taken out the stand collar. So the original has a stand collar that comes to about here and then drops down to a V that stops around here, and I've just taken out the collar completely, added all the, and done something all the way down to the down to about this point, and I just put a normal facing in to finish that. The sleeve I've made into this kind of big puff sleeve, so you can see there's quite a lot of volume there. I've made it so that it's gathered all the way across the top, as well as gathered at the hem here, and then finished with a cuff band here as well, so it kind of gives you a nice kind of poof to it. And then for the skirt, I've done one long tier and then finished it with a shorter tier towards the bottom, finishing at just below the mid-calf section, and of course pockets. I've added in these ties in the side seam as well. So they come in down here. I've actually wrapped it around the back and then tied it towards the front because I've kept them quite long. Just because this is a loose fit dress, so the buttons here are decorative. I've actually not even sewn buttonholes, I've just sewn the buttons through. The dress is big enough to just kind of pull on over your head, but I still wanted to give it a bit of shape. So I've added in the waist ties just to pull me in a little bit at the waist. And I love it. I feel super fancy when I wear it, but also could just, you know, wear it to lounge around the house in. And the fabric is a viscose, a woven viscose that I got from myfabrics.co.uk. I think they still have it if you are looking for it. I'll try to link to it below. But I really love this red tone. It's a real difference having it just as a red flower rather than the whole thing being red. If you compare it to my last makes video where I had the red dress there and I was never quite sure about that colour on me, whereas I feel like I can wear this one much more easily. So yeah, it's weird how much of a difference that makes, but I really love it. I've already worn it loads, as you can imagine. I just like to wear it with like some chunky boots and just like stomp up and down and have that skirt flare out around me. It's a lot of fun to wear for sure. It's definitely something that I can see myself making more of. Like I really like this kind of length of dress, both the skirt length and the sleeve length. And I think that this could be, you know, my look for the time being for like the spring and summer for sure. So I'm going to share my last make with you now. So in light of all the crazy going on, the fact that I knew that I would have to stay at home for quite potentially long period of time, at least 3 weeks if not longer, I thought I would make some new pyjamas. So this is the Juno pyjamas from the new Tilling the Buttons book, Make It Simple. Whilst I tested a few of the patterns from the book, I didn't test this one. Although I did realise after I got the book and had a look at it that the top's pretty much the same as the one that I did test. So I tested the Tabitha t-shirt, the Sapphire play suit, and the Bertha cardigan. So there were a few in there that I still wanted to try. So the Juno pyjamas, it's a really simple set of this kind of like leggings style pant and a long sleeve t-shirt. It's got these really deep cuffs at the wrist and at the ankle, as you can see. I've chosen to make mine out of this sweatshirting fabric. So this is a fabric that I got from So Me Sunshine quite a while back. I'm not sure if they still have any of it. And it's got this kind of handprint and it's got these little glitter nail varnish on there, which I really like. I had to make mine with contrasting cuffs and neckband because I managed to get this out of 1.5 meters of fabric, so both the top and the bottom. It is a wide fabric that I use, I think of 1.6 or 1.8 meters wide. It was wide fabric, so I managed to do it. And I did shorten the pant quite a bit in order to get all my pattern pieces on there. But I did, and I managed to get everything in the same direction, which I thought I wouldn't be able to, so I'm really quite pleased with myself about that. The pattern itself I pretty much made exactly as written, apart from one thing, and that is the waistband of the pyjamas themselves. So I got up to the point where I was about to finish the waist and I tried it on and I realised that the waist was not particularly high, and because it was using a method where you would put the elastic in there and fold it back down on itself to encase it, I knew that it would end up even lower than it was at that point. So instead of doing that method, what I ended up doing is adding a waistband to the top of the leggings in a similar style to the Stella joggers from the previous Tilly and the Buttons book. So again, you used the contrast white jersey for that part, and I just put in quite a nice wide piece of elastic all the way around there, and I feel like that sits much more comfortably on me, because I think that if you can imagine, this would have been here otherwise, and just on me and all this kind of lumpy bumpy bits over here, I didn't think that I would find it as comfortable as I would have done if I just raised everything up a little bit instead. Anyway, They're really cute, really comfortable. The fabric doesn't have quite as much stretches in it as I would have potentially hoped, but I think that will improve with time as I wear it, or just relax a little bit more as well, because it's got this kind of fleece-backed jersey stuff, and I always find that's a bit stiffer, at least to start off with. But it's just a lot of fun, and definitely something to wear to lounge about the house while I'm doing nothing the next few weeks, right? So thanks for joining me today. I actually had one more thing that I would have liked to have shared with you, and that is the closet case Pouf that I made and just finished a couple of days ago. Annoyingly, I gifted it already. So I've already got one of these Poufs. I've already gifted one of them. And I'm going to continue to gift them. I am going to make them, fill them and gift them. There's only so many Poufs one person can need. So I am, as I make them, going to pass them on to family and friends. And I just finished one the other day and I've gifted that to my other sister. It's a great way of using up scraps. And both of for the outer as well as to fill it as well. So this is stuffed full of my scrap bits of fabric that I've collected over the past year. I imagine over the next few weeks as I do more sewing, I'm going to collect even more stuff, so I may be able to fill another one of these sometime soon. So that's what I've got to share with you today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're all staying safe, stay at home, wash your hands, all of that jazz. You know, I know this is a difficult time for a lot of people. If anyone needs to, you know, have a virtual hug or anything like that, I am here for you guys. Stay safe. Bye now.